Yes, got it. Okay. Okay, there we are. So, Savio, you may want to monitor the communication provided via YouTube. And if there is any issue, you can report it inbox via WhatsApp. So, okay. Let me then proceed with the YouTube link.
Okay, yeah, exactly, the link.
Yeah. Have you seen the link?
No, I have not yet seen the link.
Okay, let me try to copy it. YouTube. Copy link, chat box. Paste. Okay, so you can confirm the YouTube link shared via Zoom chat box. So I have shared it. Okay. Kirsia, can you see the YouTube link?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's great. So please, you can share it on Facebook, because YouTube we have unlimited number of participants. But please don't share the Zoom link because we have limited number of participants. So YouTube link you can share widely, there is no problem. But again, don't share the Zoom link because we need to host only 100 participants. So thank you very much. I think now we are set to go. So I was saying that we are gathered around this webinar entitled Challenges, Opportunities, and Resilience Strategies for Agricultural Business in the Face of COVID-19 Pandemic. So as you all know, COVID-19 is a global pandemic that started in 2019 and immediately resulted in serious human health concerns. So measures such as quarantine, limited gatherings, and travel restrictions have been implemented to curb the spread of the virus. So as a consequences, this has shaken the world and all economic systems, including the functioning of agricultural systems. So then why this webinar? This webinar has been organized to share concepts in order to build sustainable resilience strategies so that we can be able to fast track the survival and the recovery of agricultural sector. So then what are the expected outputs or results from this webinar? Number one is awareness networks around challenges and opportunities for agribusinesses. Number two, we expect to produce a strategy support working paper, which will be availed to any relevant stakeholder and in general to the public. So last but not least, a hackathon, which is a competition of ideas, will be organized, and that will be on youth world business ideas in order to materialize and expedite resolutions from this webinar. So who are the organizers? The organizers, we have the University of Rwanda, the College of Agriculture, Animal Sciences and Veterinary Medicine in Rwanda. And we have the sustainable agriculture, livestock and sustainable agriculture and livestock initiative, which is SALI. We have also the Haifa Hub, which is the Haifa Life Science based in Israel. We have also Rwanda Agriculture Board. We have Kavala International University, Rwanda Climate Change and Development Network. We have Med School, which is also in Israel. We have Healthcare Social Entrepreneurship, which is also associated with the Med School. And we have Vicaton, which is also based in Israel. We have NutriCare, which is now operating in the southern of Africa, particularly in Malawi. And we have the Rwanda Organic Agriculture Movement. So here are the keynote speakers. We have Professor Francois Xavier Naramawe from the University of Rwanda. We have Dr. Ofer Makman from Haifa Hub, Israel. We have Professor Jean-Paul Devier from the International Business Development in France. And we have Professor Ikechi from the Rivers State University in Nigeria. So without further ado, as per the agenda, we shall welcome Madam Justine Mbabazi, who is the CEO of the Sustainable Agriculture and Livestock Initiative, to give the remarks for the day. In order to manage time, we tried to keep short CV of people who speak on the screen, so that they go straight away to give us the message of the day without taking much time to their short bio. But in few words, Madam Justine is the founding Chief Executive Officer of SALI and the legal representative. Since taking up the position of CEO in June 2020, she has strengthened the position of SALI to be a major delivery agency into the entrepreneurial drive of the agricultural sector in Rwanda. Before joining SALI, Justin served as the Deputy Chancellor of the University of Technology and the Arts of Byumba, and she also served as the first Counselor and the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Rwanda Embassy in Washington, United States of America. So previously, she was a researcher at the University of Rwanda, and Justin holds a master's degree in development studies from Withstand University in Johannesburg, South Africa, and a bachelor's of art in public administration and political sciences. So, Madam Justine, the floor is yours to deliver your remarks in the occasion of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alexander, the moderator. Good morning, everyone. Actually, almost everything the moderator has elaborated it very well, and I would like to mention that he happens to be the Deputy CEO and Deputy Legal Representative of the Sustainable Agriculture and Livestock Initiative, SALI. Given the well-elaborated background of the webinar, allow me briefly focus my remarks on behalf of the NGOs as indicated on the programs that are working in the agriculture sector in Rwanda. In particular, though I am speaking on behalf of the NGOs, I'd like to take you briefly through SALI. SALI is a local NGO based in Rwanda for our international partners. It is a young organization, but with very well seasoned scientists, agriculture scientists. we are very much focused on, as an organization, on marrying science and business to shape up the agriculture enterprises as a pillar in the economy of our country, and also looking at building sustainable agriculture practices that are rooted from the grassroots. Ladies and gentlemen, convening here today, COVID-19 has added more challenges to the agriculture sector, and particularly to the agri-enterprises. While thinking about this webinar and the conversations that will shape the day, according to the 4 topics that are going to be discussed by different different scientists and business people within the agriculture sector, we went through we were looking at the different challenges, and then thought perhaps while we continue to see the C-19 ravaging the sector, as well as the rest of the sectors that build an economy, together with our partners, as very well presented by the moderator, Alexander, we thought that if we come together and continue and brainstorm and think together how to probably contribute also towards mitigating the strategies, rather towards developing the mitigation strategies to the challenges already posed by the COVID-19 to the sector, it will be our contribution as an organization and as members of the sector. So without taking too much time for you, allow me register my thanks on behalf of the organizations I am speaking, to the organizers, the 10 institutions that have come together to pull this conversation together. Allow me to, in particular, register my thanks to the two people, the lady and gentlemen from the Rwandan side that have worked day and night. That is Mr. Alexander Rutikanga and Dr. Florence Uwamahoro. They have really worked so very much hard to make sure that this is organized well, and here we are today. This is not to undermine the rest of the efforts that it has been a bigger group. I really register my thanks, and without taking too much time, let me wish everybody fruitful deliberations as we continue to brainstorm, to discuss, and looking forward to hearing the deliberations, the tangible deliberations that are going to be forwarded as mitigation strategies coming from this team. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, CEO Sally. Without further ado, let us go to the second remarks by Dr. Ofer Markman from Haifa Life Science Hub. As I did for the previous presenter, Haifa Hub is a home for life science innovation. It is in Africa and the Caribbean, and it is in several sectors, including food tech, diagnostics, and so on. So Dr. Markman is also part of the business development consultant, POMICEL, which is a personally optimized medical intelligence in Jerusalem, Israel, and is also on the advisory board of the ASPARMA, which is in Haifa, Israel. Dr. Markman holds a PhD in chemistry from Boston College, a master's in life science from Weizmann Institute of Sciences, a postdoc from Paris, France, and a bachelor's in biology and molecular biology from the Ben Gurion University of Geneva. Dr. Markman, the floor is yours so that you can deliver remarks toward this webinar.
Thank you very much, Alexander, and thank you very much. I would like to start by thanking you, the organizers, and the effort of all the people that came together here is remarkable. I also would like to thank Jean-Paul and Dr. Ikechi from the Hub's advisory board for coming here and giving the keynote talks. I would like to add also that in Israel we are now in the midst of the Global Entrepreneurship Week, and we are also part of this initiative, which is an initiative of the Global Entrepreneurship Network in many countries, and there are talks on innovations during these weeks, thousands of talks on innovation during these weeks. I would obviously like to thank our partners that are working on for example, on the issue of putting together the hackathon, and we will have a talk about this later. And I would like to not take too much time now, and to basically say that we are working in Africa for many years, and it's always great to bring Israeli innovation to Africa. But I think that now, especially after the conferences and after in the post-COVID area, we're not post, but in the COVID area in a way, the importance of Africa, the importance of inclusion, the importance of working with everybody to solve the problems of this world is becoming to be more and more important, and the importance of entrepreneurship and initiative and innovation in Africa has never been more important than today. So I will not take more time. I'm happy to be here, and we're ready to let the other people speak. Thank you very much. Alex?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ofer Markman. So the next speaker is the representative from RAB, Christian, who is standing in for the DG RAB. Hello? Christian Nkurunziza? Hello? So as we find out if there is a representative from the DG RAB, so we can move to the College of Agriculture of the University of Rwanda. So the principal for the College of Agriculture of the University of Rwanda has apologized, but he has delegated the Director of Research and Innovation to stand in for him and give remarks toward this meeting. Dr. Florence, are you ready?
Yes, Alexandre. Good morning, everybody. I am Florence Wamahoro from the University of Rwanda, College of Agriculture, Animal Sciences and Veterinary Medicine. I am pleased to be here on behalf of the principal, just to give this opening remarks on behalf of him. He is in a senior management meeting and he is supposed to give a presentation at this time. So it was a conflicting program at the same time. So that right now he told me to give the opening remarks on his behalf. And the message he wants to say is that the University of Rwanda is one of, the University of Rwanda College of Agriculture, Animal Sciences and Veterinary Medicine is proud to take part in this event and to look back at the challenges that the agricultural sector have faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, but also to gather together the opportunities and the resilient strategies that are possibly out there that we can grab and use for the future of agricultural businesses, for the future of agriculture, as one of the sectors that have been affected by this pandemic. As I was saying, the College of Agriculture is one of the 6 colleges that made up the University of Rwanda, which is the SOA public university in Rwanda. And the mission of the College of Agriculture is to contribute to the ongoing poverty reduction, economic development, and food security programs in the country through increased agricultural production as a result of agricultural training, research, and technology transfer. And the mission of the college is to become a center of high standards and influence in the education, research, technology transfer in agriculture, animal husbandry, and veterinary medicine, and to become a major player in rural economic transformation. As we are discussing about the challenges, the opportunities, the resilient strategies that have been that are out there after the COVID-19 pandemic, or like during the pandemic, the University of Rwanda College of Agriculture is proud to take part in these activities to be able to contribute to the development of the agriculture sector and move it from where we are today to the future of what we want it in the coming years. So I would like to thank you all for making part of this, especially the organizing team, partners from Rwanda, partners from Israel, from France, from Nigeria. It was a really good experience to work with you all. And together we can achieve more. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you too. Thank you, Dr. Florence, Director of Research of URCVM. So the DG Lab has apologized. However, we have Dr. Placide Rukundo, who is the Principal Research Fellow, who will stand in for Lab and give us the remarks towards opening this webinar. Dr. Rukundo Placide, are you ready?
Yeah. Hello?
That's great. That's great. So then the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Doctor. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Alexander, for giving us this opportunity. I am standing here to give a few remarks on behalf of DG Rab, who is not able to attend this important events due to urgent meeting in the Eastern Province. I would like to thank the organizer of this webinar because it is really very important, as the COVID-19 has affected the agriculture sector in general in Rwanda, along with other sectors, economic sectors in this country. RAB is a government institution in charge of agriculture, research, and technology transfer. As having this mandate, when you look in terms of the effect of COVID-19, it has really a big negative effects on agriculture production in this country. And that effect has also a negative effect on food availability. Having this webinar to look the effect of this COVID-19 and try to exchange ideas with the other partners to look for the approach and the ways to be used to face this challenge. It is really very important. In this regard, the RAB as a public institution, having different partners working together to face this challenge, we appreciate really this initiative of Sally to bring together different partners, to think together, to look for a resilient approach and how we can tackle this negative effects of COVID-19 in this country, to push the agriculture sector so as the farmer can have enough food and enough and high income from his activity, his agriculture productivity. Mainly, we know that the agriculture sector is the key pillar of Rwandan economy. And anytime any cause that can affect this agriculture sector it has a big impact on the country economy. We think that working together, we can achieve good results and bring a new solution to face this challenge. Thank you very much for organizing this webinar and bringing together different partners working in the agriculture sector to look for solutions to face this challenge. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Prasidi Rukundo. Again, for the housekeeping communication, we will have to move from presentation 1 to presentation 4 because the team in Israel has another obligation, so they will not present at the 4th position. So which means after the presentation of panel 1, next will be the panel number 4, and the panel which was number 2 will follow, and the order will keep as scheduled. So we apologize for the inconvenience, but we were obliged to accept also their apologies. So thank you very much. So without further ado, we will go to the topic number 1, which is the Agritech and the sustainable food production systems. As an indicative content, the panel will take us through some highlight on how agricultural technologies do not only help optimizing agricultural outputs, I mean yield, but can also be among ways to handling unprecedented challenges such as the ones brought in by the pandemics like COVID. So we will have Professor Jean-Paul de Villiers as the keynote speaker, and Dr. Professor Buchag is also in another meeting with the World Bank group, but he will join later. Dr. Saidi Rutabairu will also be there as a discussant, and Dr. Saidi Mbaraka Rumanzi will be a facilitator. So without further ado, we will give the floor to Professor Jean-Paul de Villiers and the whole team to give us their presentation. Professor Jean-Paul de Villiers, you are free to share your screen and start presenting your slides. Thank you very much. Professor Jean-Paul Devrier, are you ready to share the screen?
He's speaking while the microphone is on off.
You can unmute your microphone, Professor Jean-Paul Devrier.
Oh, he didn't realize.
Jean-Paul, please unmute yourself.
Maybe it's a technical problem.
Okay, let me try to unmute him.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Now, okay. So you can make the full screen for your presentation. Full screen. Okay, that's right. Lovely.
That's right. Okay. Sorry for that.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I want to share with you some highlights. I think one of the key messages I want to deliver to you is that even before COVID-19 outbreak, the need for global food system transformation were paramount. And the COVID crisis was more a sort of revelator or catalyst to stretch that even further. I will show you that on 3 elements. First, the food system are relevant to all sustainable development goals. The China opportunity in the agri-food sector are massive and global, and even bigger for developing countries. Alors, we could be quite surprised by the impact of the current food system on the SDG. For example, today food system account for 70% of fresh water withdrawal, 30% of world available energy, 20 to 30% of the global greenhouse emissions are related to food system. Deforestation, 30 million hectares per annum, driven by agriculture, and also about people, and so and so. The change and opportunity are also massive. The industry, the food, agri-food sector, it's a 7.8 trillion industry, responsible for feeding the planet and employing well over 30% of the global population. But there is a paradox here. The pace of innovations has not kept up with other industry. If you compare the investment in agri-food sector compared to healthcare, over the last 7 years, the ratio is 1 to 10. And if you want to address the SDG in the agri-food sector, it could create a business opportunity of 2.3 trillion within 10 years. For developing countries, the challenge is even bigger. Because on the small farm, on the farmer populations, basically farmer population of about 600 million annual farm in the world, more than 85% are smallholder farmers. And this smallholder farmer produce 80% of the food consumed in the developing world. And the impact, basically 1.5 million live in smallholder households. And if you look, consider also the impact of climate change, the environmental stress related to climatic change will increase. And especially, as you can see here, mainly on the tropical belt. Alors, There is a clear need for transformative technology to solve this challenge faced in the food system. And it's what I will develop with you with a specific focus on Africa. There are 3 key areas for transformations: changing the shape of the food demand, promoting value chain leakage, and creating more sustainable production systems. Changing the shape of demand, there is a clear difference of paradigm between developed and developing country. In the developed world, we have clearly to reduce animal protein consumption for better nutrition. When in the developing country, the challenge is to respond to the demand of the fast-growing young populations and to improve protein diet. Sorry?
It's okay, carry on.
Okay. Alors, to improve protein diet, if you consider Africa, there are different local opportunities to consider. You have a tradition of legume crop in Africa. I think it's important to think how to better exploit it, its potential. Develop more local poultry production and not rely on import. And also more integrated cattle farming system. That's very, very important for the carbon cycle and the fertility. Promoting value chain leakage. That's a very important point, especially in the COVID context. There is a huge potential. There are huge potential opportunities for digital technology in agri-food chain. And if you consider Africa, in one hand, we have a large adoption of smartphone and now development of mobile payment, mobile banking. That could be certainly leveraged. And also, on the other hand, the fragmentation of the agri-food value chain and the key logistic hurdle are very favorable to development of digital solutions. And in the last 5-7 years, very quickly, a relatively large and fast-growing digital ecosystem has emerged. In 2019, 400 startups, digital ag startups, were registered present active in Africa. There were about 33 million farmers registered on these applications, with a growth rate per annum of 40–50% in user and enterprise. If you consider the limitations of this digital sector, few examples. Only 1/3 of registered users today use solutions actively. The growing revenue and funding, but there are growing revenue and funding, but sector is still very small relative to potential. Basically, according to a survey made by Dalberg 2 years ago, the penetrations today is only 4 to 8% compared to the total addressable market. It's still early days for commercial viability. There are 2 dozen among the 400 startups that are truly investable today by commercially minded investors. Private investment in digital ag is still low. It's basically in 2018, it was 10 times lower than investment in fintech in Africa. The impact evidence is promising. There's a need for more rigorous measurement, and there are still many structural gaps to be addressed. What's the current scope of a digital agtech solution in Africa? Initially, we had a wave of advisory information service on these solutions, and I list some examples. We start to see that some of these advisory information service solutions start to expand to other services. And we see business models shifting rapidly to more integrated and commercial solutions, like market linkage. And one example we can take is a sharing machinery service like Tractor in Nigeria, but no present in 13 countries. Financial service access, Farm Crowley in Nigeria, that has pivoted now to a B2B marketplace and retail platform. Or supply chain efficiency, especially for the example of Twiga Food in Kenya. Third key area for transformation of food system is to create sustainable production system. Alors here we are in a different context compared to digital technology. The barrier to entry in R&D manufacturing are much higher in terms of cost, time, industrial capability. And that today prevents significant local development of startup of company in this area. On the other hand, I believe there are important opportunities for technology transfer from south to south, because we start to see countries like Brazil and India that are building strong R&D and also capability in bio-based alternative input technology, for example. And they have the same soil type, climatic conditions in Africa. Other example, low-tech engineering expertise adapted to the smaller holding farmer exist today in countries like India, Vietnam, for example. Another important message, local biodiversity is a key asset in Africa. It is important for more sustainable plant breeding, bio-input sourcing, and better exploit plant microbial interactions that we have partly lost in countries like France today. And that's an area where this key asset, we need to see how to better exploit that. Example of technology transfer. I can show you one. For example, an American Brazilian company, Provivi, has developed disruptive manufacturing technology to produce pheromone at 10 times lower cost than the traditional productions. That's allowed to introduce pheromone in raw crops like maize, and they are just launching now the solutions to control fall armyworm in Kenya in maize, and it's cost competitive and easy to apply by smallholder farmers. And we just share here some other example of area for transfer. Another point I would like to highlight, India is probably a unique benchmark for because the geographic position is still linked with Africa. India will surpass China in populations relatively soon. In India, there are R&D capability in IT, biotechnology, and tropical agronomy. Very important for Africa. Engineering and manufacturing is an asset in this country. Marketing expertise dealing with smallholding farmers. And there is an emerging agri-food startup sector ecosystem in India. For example, between 2013 and 2017, basically 4 years ago, 10% India represents the global deal activity in agri-food startup. And there is, as I say, an expanding local ecosystem with local investor base, with venture capital company completely focused on agriculture, some form of corporate venturing from Mahindra, that is a farm machinery company, and some impact fund. Just an example of the scope of startup in Agritech in India. Obviously, there is a very large range of digital startup business model. Key focus on supply chain transparency and efficiency. And some of these first fresh produce platform and marketplace startup are reaching critical mass and today are able to attract sizable funding. Some of these companies attract last year funding up to more than $50 million each one. And there are also emerging upstream projects, not only digital, in ag biotech, mechanization equipment, precision farming, etc. What are the new challenges brought by pandemic? Obviously, COVID trigger prone measures like lockdown, market shutdown, and so and so. It has a global economic impact. Agriculture was directly hit, and an impact also in Africa. It created a massive disruption of supply chain for import, export, and supply to large cities. It shows vulnerability to export market, especially for fresh produce that you cannot store. Example of cod flour in Eastern Africa. Production chains were also impacted by labor restraint for harvest in the field or handling of food. Advisors cannot visit anymore the farm, and it stretches further the lack of financing in agriculture. What are the new opportunity that could arise from the COVID-19 disruptions? Clearly, you should put more focus on food safety and security for the urban area, strategic for the country. Need to think to redirect production to more local value chain, to be less dependent on some risky export business. Should accelerate development of digital solutions to make supply chain more effective and resilient, especially for fresh produce first, but not only. It could favor mechanization in the field for digital share service. And also, I think very important, it could catalyze the emergence of more integrated and more commercially viable digital platform, integrating also access to financial service. My key message. I think basically there is large opportunity for ag digital technology in Africa, and COVID could accelerate these transformations. And at the end, reference that I encourage you to read after this webinar that will document much further what I share with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Markman. Then the moderator can take us through the session of question and answers.
The moderator is not Dr. Markman in this case.
Okay, so then as we wait for the moderator to get ready, the floor is open for question and answers. Please address your question to Professor Jean-Paul Devier. Thank you very much, the audience. Open your mic, introduce yourself, preferably your names and institution of origin, and ask your question. Thank you very much. So in case there is anyone of the panel who has something to say, this is also a good time for anyone to speak. Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you very much, Alexandre. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Saidi. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is Said Rumanzi from University of Rwanda as a facilitator for this presentation delivered by Prof. Jean-Paul. So maybe as we wait for the discussants, Prof. Bichag and Dr. Said Rutabairo, I also wanted to add something more as far as this presentation, Agritech. And I think one component that we also should think about, we are saying that it is the smallholder farmers that have been affected by COVID. So much to have like storage facilities for their products, like their a lack of the online marketing and other things that have harbored their development. And as we think of Agritech, I think we should also think about the youth, because I believe the role of the youth in agriculture is very key in helping in advancing adoption of these technologies that can help in transformation of agriculture, especially as we kind of counteract the effects of COVID-19. So as we think of these technologies, I believe that the youth plus the private sector can play a very, very big role in having these technologies reach the smallholder farmers, and for the smallholder farmers to actually accept these technologies and use them and apply them in transformation of the agriculture. So I think that's one component that we should also think about as we think about these technologies that can help in transforming agriculture. Yes, so back to Said, Dr. Said, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Said. And I'm also Said, but from RISA. And my contribution to the discussion provided, or the presentation given by Prof. So mostly I will concur with most of the point that he highlighted. I just want to add another aspect. Yes, so this is Agritech, and by Agritech, I just look about the startup, because these are mostly the tech companies that are in the agriculture sector, and also see, yes, we have learned a lot from COVID, but we have also some lesson that we got from this pandemic. And in general, if we look at the thing that we learned or the contribution of technology and new technology to any shock, be it pandemic or any climate change, things, there's this aspect of resiliencies and the aspect of business continuity. So definitely these are the future, or the startup development, or the startup or the tech-enabled orientation. These are here to stay because of the benefit I mentioned above. But also looking forward, we have also to acknowledge the challenges that this community faces before even we see the opportunity or any expectation that this community faces. So the startup in general, I just want to highlight some of the challenges, even we as policymakers. I'm just coming from a policy or the government regulatory agency. And one of the challenges that the startup faces is this because the instrument that we use when it comes to startup and SMEs are similar, but when you look at the investment, I'm just talking about like the upfront investment that this requires. Our regulation and all the instruments we have within the government doesn't acknowledge those distinctions. I'm just give an example like an innovator or a startup that is going to work on a drone technology, let's say to spread pesticide in this. If you look at the upfront investment, the amount of investment invested in this solution up to until it matures is totally different than any other SMEs or smallholder who just need a small upfront to start the business. And what the policy we have failed to come up with is to have instruments that favors these startup, and this another platform, a good platform, again to reflect, yes, we have benefit. Yes, COVID has shown us the potential that we can get from this, but this again is a time to reflect on our instrument and see how we can support this sector so they can reach the full potential that we have seen recently from this experience of COVID. So this just one addition I wanted to add on the slide of Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Said. And we also, I think, Prof. Jean-Paul and the team, we wish also to hear from the audience, any contributions, any questions to Dr. Jean-Paul will be highly appreciated.
You are right. The youth of the populations is really a key asset for Africa, and that's very well discussed in one of the articles. In the last one, I listen the reference. It's certainly in this respect, education play also an important role. Education of the young people.
Yes, so I think, Alexander, if you may allow, if maybe there are no reactions from the audience for now, maybe because of time, we can move to the next topic and maybe later. Hello?
Yes, Dr. Said, this is Charles Buchagu.
Oh, thank you, Prof. You're welcome, Prof.
So I was able to to join the middle of the presentation.
Thank you.
And I'm very sorry, I had a couple of meetings I was attending. So my name is Charles Buchagu. I'm the Deputy Director General for Rwanda Agriculture Board. So Rwanda Agriculture Board is the agency with a mission of implementing agriculture policy in Rwanda. We are responsible for agriculture and livestock development for Rwanda in Rwanda. Probably I need to put up my video. Yeah, so I have joined the presentation, but I could at least get the discussions and issues that were discussed in relation to the challenges posed by pandemic-19. And as Professor Jean-Paul was discussing, so Rwanda has not been an exception. and especially the agriculture sector. We have already the pandemic 19 was declared in the beginning of 2020 in the country around March 20. That is when we actually, the country entered its first lockdown. And this period actually coincides with our season, agriculture season, the second agriculture season, season B. And we could see implication in terms of mobilizing farmers to cultivate land and to be able to carry out the agriculture activities usually planned for the season. So some measures, of course, were taken to ensure we address these issues. And some of the issues actually were mentioned by the presenter, including the strategies that were taken by a number of countries, including Rwanda, to ensure we optimize productivity within our country, given that the international trade was actually disrupted. There was no trade across between countries, and we couldn't really. So the issue was to see what could be the setup measures to ensure we have enough food within individual farmer countries. So on our part of Rwanda, we have massively mobilized, but also supported use of machinery. This is mechanization, use of machinery in agriculture sector, and also supporting or easing the access to input like seed and fertilizer. And we could maintain our levels of production despite the constraining environment posed by COVID-19. Currently, as the presenter indicated, we needed to set up a mechanism to ensure that the food security is maintained. Of course, this should be number one priority when it comes to agriculture. But also, since now the trade has been eased, is easing, and with the flight resuming, we now try also to resume some of the put emphasis on the export, and to see how we can diversify the export opportunities that is actually available to us. The second issue that was indicated is the obvious of use of digital solutions. This is actually true, and the current WebEx meetings that we are having now is a testimony that people around the world can now talk from their own offices. Like now I'm sitting in my house, but we can talk. So that is the revolutions, and is something that we probably going to be used in most cases, and minimize really the physical meetings, and have an impact on efficiency on what we do, but also delivering services to beneficiaries. So when it comes to agriculture, having this tool has actually enabled us to reach out more people, more stakeholders in the sector, but also reaching out farmers and deliver the messages, or deliver the extension messages that we want to deliver and to ensure we become more efficient in terms as far as service delivery is concerned. So the third issue that was mentioned and very critical to us is the integrating, so moving towards more integrated farming systems. I totally agree with the presenter that is the way to go, because that goes in the spirit of increasing productivity, and that has to be actually materialized by setting up a digital platform that would bring on board stakeholders in the value chain. So the value chain approach, that is the way to go, because we need to add value to what we are producing to ensure the production, most of production meet the requirement for the market, and our smallholder farmer can get a high return on the investment. So these are few remarks I want to make, but maybe concluding on my remarks, I have two, three questions I want to put to the presenters to get their views on how to do it the way forward, given the current trend and given the current priorities. So regarding the clear trend to embrace the IT solutions and we need actually to adapt our way of operating and functioning, and this I think is going to put more weight. I mean, is going to have an implication the current education system we have. If we say that we are going to promote more IT, use of more IT tools, and is going to be our way of functioning and operating, we need to have an implication on our education sector. So I want to hear from the presenter to understand what is his view on how education sector should position itself to support actually to this transition or to this trend. My guess is that we need more people in IT, in development of IT tools, but also adapting to give us tools that would be adapted to all kinds of processes and the sectors where these tools are needed. Secondly, is to understand what would be the positioning of smallholder farmers in this IT-led.
1 second, please, Professor Buchagu, if we can summarize a little bit so that we can keep within time, that would help, please. Thank you, sir.
So let's me conclude.
Yeah.
The second is about the smallholder farmers. So how do we ensure that the smallholder farmers is taken on board while we are talking about the promotion of IT tools and the IT use in this agriculture development process under the constraint of COVID pandemic 19. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Buchagu and the DDG RAB. Dr. Saidi, if you don't have any objection, then we can move the second presentation so that we can keep our time under control.
Yeah, fine with me. Thank you.
So thank you, dear members of panel. Thank you, the audience. So now we move to the next presentation, which is the hackathon. We apologize because The second presentation will be next because of the agenda the team from Israel has. So I hope that Dr.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, yes. Okay. So it's a panel composed by Dr. Markman from Israel and Galit Zamla, Vikathon Israel, or Gavish Med School Israel. And the team will be facilitated by Dr. Karemera Noira Josian Muhoza. And they will take us through the hackathon on youth world business ideas with potentials to contribute to well-being and the agri-tech development in the shadow of a global pandemic. We expect them to spot some key points of the hackathon and show how it is expected as one of the ways to materializing recommendations from the webinar in the connection with the SDGs. So, Dr. Markman, you can please go ahead.
Yes,
and Noera will be moderating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. I will
Feel free to share the slides, yes,
okay,
from your side.
in a second.
Okay.
Due to time limit, we will start with Olga Vish's presentation about how the seminar, how the hackathon will go, and then I will talk about our focuses and what are the aspects that we want to bring in the hackathon. Why do a hackathon in this time related to Africa and specifically to agriculture and agriculture, health and nutrition. Please, Or, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, thank you. Hello to everybody, nice to meet you. My name is Or Gavish and I'm from Israel. I'm standing in business and initiation that's called Med School and MedCA. I will explain in 2 minutes what it is, and then I will explain about the hackathon. So first I will share my screen. I want to show you MedCA initiative. So I used to be a biology teacher in high school, and I saw a lot of people outside the school that need help. And I'm not a doctor, and I always wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't want to go to study medicine. So this is my idea. We don't need to be doctors to save lives. We have great power and great engine within a community forces of students and the community itself. So I find a partner. Her name is Mayan, and she's an expert in global impact development. And we faced the situation of community lack of capability, belief, financial decline due to COVID-19 effects, and also decline in healthcare. We approached to all these 3 topics together within a program, and we train young students and also university students to be entrepreneurship, healthcare entrepreneurship entrepreneurs. We make innovation from young age, and we teach and train young entrepreneurs to be healthcare entrepreneurs in the community. So this is what I do, and this is what's important to me. And in Israel, we're really good at entrepreneurship. So we come to this hackathon of agriculture and health and nutrition all together. And now I will explain about what is this hackathon all about and what we want to achieve. Okay. So we call this hackathon HAS, Health and Agritech Social Impact Hackathon. It's going to be 4 days of online competition between students in the challenges of tech business design, in the challenges of agriculture, health and nutrition technology. We're going to do boot camp in these 4 days of competition, online competition. We're going to have a daily challenge. Each day, the teams will need to submit a daily challenge. We will train them how to do this challenge in the best way. Technological challenge, financial challenge, public speaking challenge, and marketing challenge. We have the best experts to train and mentor. So we're going to ask the teams to form 2 to 6 member team in these 4 days of online bootcamp competition. Each day will be 2 hours high energy online event. In the 3rd day, the teams will have to make a presentation in front of a panel of experts and then a big audience. And in the 4th day, it's going to be the winner's announcement. We want to approach all these topics that we announced: health, agritech, nutrition, in the shadow of a worldwide pandemic. The COVID-19 undoubtedly caused a lot of negative effects on the health, on the community, on the can you mute somebody can mute the we want to approach it in the shadow of a worldwide pandemic. From each group, we're going to ask, how is your solution benefits the community that suffer from COVID-19 aspect? And of course, we connect the SDGs, the UN goals of sustainable development. We all know the 17 development goals, and we're going to ask the teams to show how their solutions address with the goals. Okay, so in order to get into the hackathon, we have opening challenge. You need to submit the opening challenge. If you're a team in this hackathon, if you want to get in this hackathon, you need to send us a short video and explain your idea, explain your problem, the need, and what is your idea of solution. To send us this video, and we will look at all your videos and then decide who we want to get in this hackathon. Thank you very much.
I will just for a second ask everybody to mute, that is not talking, to mute their thing. And Alex, can you mute the people that are speaking? They may not. Okay, now everybody is muted.
Okay, I think now it's okay.
Yes, yes, please. I would like to give also Galit the chance to introduce herself as she is here. Galit is bringing the Hackathon platform to the hackathon, and while I'm preparing my presentation and sharing my screen. Okay, Galit, you want to speak? I will need a permission to share my, sorry. To share my screen. This? No, this is the wrong screen. Sorry, I will screen.
Excuse me, I think Alexander can mute the people who are speaking. I think as an organizer, it's possible to mute them.
Yeah, please, I will mute those who are causing noise. Okay, let me try to see.
I'm sorry. I will try to use. No, it's the wrong. Sorry, I have a technical issue here. I'm trying to figure which one is. Wait.
The background noise is from Dr. Mackman.
The background.
Yeah, you have a background noise. Okay, but you will need to unmute your mic once you will be speaking.
I am unmuted. I will unmute, yes.
Maybe you close the windows of the room you are sitting in. There must be some wind blow.
I have some kind of problem with sharing my screens.
But we can see your screen here.
You can see my screen? It's okay.
Yeah.
Then
we are.
Maybe you can play the full screen.
Yeah, play the full screen. Otherwise, we can see your screen on Zoom.
Okay.
So if you, now it is the full screen. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my? So this is the last slide. Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Galit,
Okay.
Just 1 second. I need. Galit, can you speak? Do you want to speak to introduce yourself or? Okay, I will. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Now, I want to explain how I see the reason why to bring hackathon and the Israeli innovation in a way to East Africa nowadays. I see that there are 3 reasons now. While we are in the pandemic or post-pandemic and during a major climate, threat of climate change, to bring innovation to Africa. One is, I think that it's important for one of our purposes is to help people capture the innovation culture, which we believe is a way to move forward, especially in Africa. The other one is kind of refocusing ourselves and to help us define value and where value meets economic value, because that's important too. We need to focus on making the most economic impact to begin with, and if we keep on thinking about economic impact, we will also make a lot of impact in the other aspects, especially for when it comes to Africa, which is the bed for we see Africa as the bed we see Africa as the bed for the world food. The next food source of the world is most likely going to come from Africa. So it's the philosophy is that I have on putting together this hackathon would be that we need to redefine value. First of all, we need to understand and we need to give people the understanding of where value and values meet economic value. I see value as a multiplication of many factors. One of is the resources that you put to it, which is land and work and whatever. The effort that you put on it, how much work you anywhere from days and money that you put to it. And then the quality plays vast importance in economic value. And then there are all kind of hidden values that are surfaced, and this is something that we will talk about in the and the payer's perspective. The client basically, we don't pay for the same amount for Tesla, which is a good country, and Lamborghini, and for some reason, so we need to understand also that this is where we are. And the other thing is that you come to Africa, everybody tells you, give me 2 acres and I'll move the world in a way. So it's also to explain to people that innovation is important and land is important, and there are a lot of issues related to land that are that can drive innovation, but there are a lot of landless opportunities in innovation, and this is very important. This is not harnessed enough in Africa. So innovative thinking, quality culture, and values, these are places that have no land, but they are important, and they have recently they are having a lot of economic value that people are ready to pay for them, especially now post pandemic. The other aspect is that we have to understand that economic prosperity and development, inclusion is also a very important resource. We tend to see now not enough inclusion including in Africa economy, but also in the world economy. We have to remember that the big growth of Europe in the 20th century was a lot derived by the force of immigrants. My parents were immigrants. Both my parents were immigrants to Israel, and as long as some parts of my family were immigrants into Europe and in Europe, and it's a lot of the development that happened there and the other one is what I call the sixth continent, which is the issue of equality, and mostly women equality and women perspective in their share in the economics and otherwise. I'm sorry, I have a cat here that is deciding to join the course. And the rest is the importance of education, especially for the young people in Africa, but also education should not be a limit and a barrier to joining and hearing their voices. You know, I always say that the guy currently with the crisis that we have in logistics, the guy in the storage facility is the most important voice in logistics. And it's not, you can't solve everything by IT or by digitization. So the idea of the hackathon will, as we said, will be mostly on ideation. And ideation is important as a culture as well. But ideation, it's important that one of the things that we need to have people educated about is that nobody can block their thinking, their initiative, and their options and their opinions. But it doesn't, and that's important because we see a lot of non-inclusion based on that is done by people by themselves. They do not want to be included. Or they do not believe that their voice will be heard. But also, we want to tell them that the knowledge is out there, knowledge is out there for them to get, and it's usually easily to be acquired, either by education or by asking other people. But opinions is something that need to change based on reality, based on exploration. And that's very, very important, and it's eventually going to be their own opinion. And the other thing is that we need to stop thinking about unicorns. It's not going to be unicorns that are going to change Africa, and especially not in agriculture. You only need enough people to value your product or services, and you can only define your goals. Your customer is going to be defining your outcome.
Yeah, good.
And these are important aspects of. It's okay to, it's okay to make $500,000 or $1 million business. If we make enough of them, Africa is going to change. And it's okay to have different goals than the goals of your neighbors. But it's important that they will serve you and your efforts. So you don't want to put an effort in something that would not make you happy, would not give you enough money, or would not give you enough satisfaction. And the last thing in the culture of entrepreneurs is that honesty is a great virtue, but it's not a replacement for evaluation, measurement, and assessment. So you need to be honest with yourself and honest with your investors, with your partners. It's true, but you also need to make sure that you think things qualitatively, you think money, you think value, you think impact, and you bring. So I would like to, in a few seconds, put the innovative put our idea of what an innovative entrepreneur should be able to encompass. It's important for people to understand how risk is taken, or how risks are taken. To understand risks, to understand how risk is managed, mitigated, but also to befriend risk. No innovation will happen without taking some risks in some places, either doing new thing on your land, or you doing new thing, or taking your time and putting it into something else. It's important to understand that mistakes will be made, and you'll do them anyways. But you don't have to make the mistakes by purpose. You need to find real problems, and you need to understand that mistakes on the way to understand the mistakes on the way to and the way to solve them. That's a very important learning that we hope that we will be able to give them. And anything is possible. It's true to see we are in a culture of anything is possible, especially technologically. But it's a good starting point, but for solution, but not for understanding the problems. You need to understand real problems. What we need now in Africa is, and worldwide, we need people that with real will to solve real problems, and that's very important. I want to give an example of things. We can look at agriculture in an innovative way as a combination of land, soil, and ecosystem, and the plant, the crop, the resources, the quality of the output, the quality of whatever you make, management, logistics, and business, and climate and environment. And we need to understand that there's value everywhere. For example, if you look at the ecosystem and the biodiversity, for example, biodiversity, bees are part of biodiversity, but bees are important by themselves. They are important for the crops that you're growing in most cases, but and they make honey, which is also a source of value. And you can direct yourself to the place where you want to be in this value puzzle in a way. So that's just an example of how to look innovatively at all the aspects of innovation. And I think that it's important to move Africa from only relying, even in agriculture, only relying on land. Give me 2 acres and we will solve it. We want to address 4 or 5 aspects of the issues on Africa. The lack of innovative culture, which is a complex, and I've talked about it before, and in the challenges for the agricultural sector transformation, especially in East Africa, the issues of productivity, the issues of how to get to surface value and how to surface values, how to make it work with the world values so that it will work for everybody. Obviously, we will look at food, nutrition, and health. That's very important for us. We think that Africa can be a place with a lot of impact, including in innovation. And obviously, the impact of COVID-19 and the outcome and opportunities of COVID-19. COVID-19 did not only give us problems and death, it also surfaced new opportunities, and that is also an important lesson to learn, that we can't change what happened, but we can change the issue of and we can harness the opportunities. This is I will stop sharing here, and I will let Galit. Do you want to speak, or are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Just a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to show you the platform where we are going to work, the students are going to work during the hackathon, and actually I will show you it over a hackathon that is actually happens these days. It's an international hackathon where there are 5 countries that are taking part in it, so you will see it in live, okay? Let me share my screen, just a minute. Okay, so this is a hackathon where what you see, this number 1,000, maybe I will do a refresh and we'll see that it has been updated. No, it's still 1,000. It means 1,000 updated that the students did. We have here like 23 teams who are working on their files. They are from different countries, but they are collaborating, and each team is working on one file with a common shared file for them. This hackathon is being led by 2 schools, one from Israel and one from the Philippines. So in our hackathon, it will be actually the same. We'll put here the time so everyone will know what time is it in the other country. This is a countdown clock where they will see how long they time left for them to do the next stage, and each time the next stage is being changed. It will be their welcome clip. This is a welcome clip. I just let me reshare it with the sound so you can see. New share with the sound. Sure. So here you can see this is the clip for this hackathon, and the first one is the Israeli ones.
We can't hear well.
Okay, I start, but then there is a clip of the students from South Africa and from the Philippines. Here the students write their names. We also encourage them to write their phone numbers so they can create a WhatsApp groups and work together.
Galit, המסך does not refresh. Okay. It does not refresh the.
Oh, so what have you seen? I don't know what you have seen.
Okay, now it's refreshing. Yes.
Have you seen the clip or not?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. I show you again. So this is the clip.
We are looking forward to meeting you all in Hackathon 2021.
Because it's a memorable experience.
Because it improves our community.
It connects us to our emotions.
Because it's all about global cooperation. See you soon!
And the next one will be the clip from South Africa. And so on, other clips. The students here write their names and the phone numbers. We want them to write the phone numbers because we want them to create WhatsApp group and collaborate even after the hackathons in real life sessions. We give them here activity. Actually, what you see here, this puzzle, it's the skills that we want them to learn, and they learn even during this the hackathon. That's why we think a hackathon is something so great, and it cultivates very essential skills in the students. It depends on the hackathon, the topic. Our topic will be different, but here this is the topic. Will make something like an ideas generator, so it can help them come up with ideas. Then they come up with the ideation stage, and they come up with different ideas. Next step, they choose their best idea.
1 second, Galit, if you can summarize, that would be helpful because time is not on our side.
Okay,
thank you
that
very
would
much.
be. I just say that the students work together on a shared online file, and we as moderators can see and how they are progressing, move from team to team. We can also give them help. Here they can ask questions like this one, and we answer their questions. And actually, that's it.
Okay.
So
the
the moderator, you can help us to receive questions from the audience.
Okay, thank you, Alexandre. And first of all, I would like to thank presenters, Dr. Markman, Madam Orr, and Madam Galit. It was really a good presentation. Myself, I learned many points, very interesting points. There is something they said, we don't need to be a doctor to realize great things. Really, this is very interesting, and I liked when they said how they work on healthcare of entrepreneurs, because without people with a good health, I think that we can't really achieve much. They have also mentioned about the mentorship, the innovation culture, and how it's very important to stick on one goals, even if they're different from those of ours, of others. And behind that, those can be really achieved, well achieved if someone is honest. I think this can help our young people. As you know, more than 70% of the population of Rwanda is young, and agriculture it's a key. It plays a key importance in the economy of Rwanda. So we need to encourage, we need to mentor our young people to participate, to be able to participate more and well in the development of our country. Without me be taking much time, I would like to ask if among our audience someone would like to ask a particular question to our presenters or add something. Thank you. Hello. Alexander?
Yeah, I think there is no
Yes,
question
we can
from
hear
the
you.
audience. Yeah.
Question or
No.
any contribution or something to add, please, you are welcome.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm Florence again. First of all, I want to thank the presenters, and with these ideas of hackathon, it's something that maybe, yeah, I mean, Garrett and the teams are young, they are youth, and they've achieved more, and they are also training other youth in the area. So this is something that we should learn, and we should emphasize, as Noera said. Majority of Rwandans are young people, and they need innovative idea to be able to create jobs, but also to provide jobs to other young generations. And that was something good. And I guess with this collaboration, we can learn more and maybe incorporate this in our teaching systems and our, the different platforms that we are engaged in, so that our young people learn how they can explore their potentials. I mean, there are several potentials out there, but how they can explore them, and this can be achieved by exposure, to know what is already out there, to know how other youth have achieved this. When you share, when you see some success stories, when you see that others can, and then you realize that why not you yourself? So that this is a good example. This is a good initiative, and we appreciate, and I would encourage the youth, young generations in this platform, in this meeting, to take this opportunity to see the potentials that are all out there. I mean, we are talking about opportunities after this COVID-19, or like what we learned through the pandemic, and how we can lift up the conditions that we are in to keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Florence, for your good intervention. Maybe among our presenters, someone would like to add something?
I will say that I'm working in Africa and in the Caribbean for half a decade or a little bit more, and one thing I can assure you, that there's no reason for people in Africa or the Caribbean to not think that they have any reason to anything to contribute, because the contribution from there, and including currently the innovators and even startups, are showing up that Africa have a lot to contribute right now to the transformation of the world.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for the sake of time, if there is no any other objection, we can move to the next presentation, which is the presentation number 2 by Professor Nalamawe and the team. Okay, so Professor Nalamawe and Ndoli, you can get ready.
Yeah, I think Professor Ramawi is online, who will present, and I can complement.
Okay.
Thank you and welcome, Prof.
Okay. So, Professor Namawi, and 1 second. Yeah, Professor Namawi and Alendoli, they are going to take us through a presentation on the analysis of the enabling environment to improve agriculture sector in Rwanda. And they will emphasize the special situation of COVID. They will specifically go through analyzing challenges and opportunities, the enabling environment for good practices, examples of existing initiatives. They will brief us on the analysis of food system during the COVID period, and they will also try to support the possible collaboration among the stakeholders in this meeting. So, Professor, do you want me to share the presentation for you?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. One second. Can you see the presentation now? Hello?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, play the full screen as well, if you can.
Yeah.
No, it's a PDF. I think maybe I can increase. It's a PDF document.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can read at least now.
Yes.
You can read, and the slides are numbered. So thank you very much, everybody. All protocol observed. I salute you. Mine will be to complement on the talks which have been already presented. And I thank Professor Buchagu because he has covered some of my slides. So it will be quickly done. So I'm going to take you through the analysis of the enabling environment to improve the agriculture sector in Rwanda, and then make a special focus on COVID-19. The content is, as you can see it, slide 2, introduction and key data. Major challenges will be highlighted, enabling opportunities, and then I will show you some recommended research products done by UR and RAB researchers, which can help to guide the management of soil fertility, mainly soil acidity. I will conclude and then end by looking at the impact of COVID-19 and the government feedback. So as you know, Rwanda is a small country with 26.3 square kilometers, with 52% for Arab land, with a high population compared to the size of the country, more than 12 millions. A population density, one of the highest, if not the highest in the world, 499 people per kilometer square. A population growth rate, which is high, 2.6%. A small GDP at $120 US, and a life expectancy, which is not bad, 69 years. The country is subdivided into around 12 main agroecological zones with a variety of land use, of course, system, which include the forests and the agroforestry, in the southwest to seasonal and perennial cropping in the Central Plateau and in the Northwest Highland, so-called Buberuka Highland. The Eastern Savanna is mainly dominated by livestock and of course agriculture. And also the volcano region is a very rich region actually due to the type of soil called andosol. For those who know, it is very rich because it is produced, it is resulting from volcanic materials. Unfortunately, the high overcultivation is causing high erosion, high landslides, and also soil fertility decline. Some pictures which shows you the vulnerability, but also the resources. The first one is showing the Ruhondo Lake environment. You can see water, but you can see also very steep land, which are very overcultivated and which need to be protected. In the center, you see the eastern plateau with a reservoir of lakes, which shows that we have resources. All we need is to develop technologies to use these resources sustainably. The third one is showing the Congo-Nile watershed divide region, Ngororero district, which is also overcultivated and which need to be protected. So this is a picture that you used to Agro ecological zones of Rwanda. From west to east, you have the Kivu Belt region, you have the Congo-Nile watershed divide, you have the volcano zone on the top, you have the Central Plateau, and you have the red region, so-called Buberuka Highland. Northeast, you have the Eastern Savanna. Southeast, you have the Eastern Plateau, and you have some other small ecological regions in the west, south, Imbo and Impara. The main food grown in Rwanda include maize, plantains, cassava, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, and beans. Among others, of course, the yield of cassava need to be highlighted. It was increased a lot due to use of good seeds and also improved disease control. The main exports, of course, include coffee and tea, but also some food crops, including potatoes and vegetables in neighboring countries. Livestock, of course, plays also an important role. And we have cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, and poultry mainly. Livestock production has increased, of course, significantly, very recently. And there is a range of programs today which are supported by the government and donors to actually promote small-scale dairy production. So, major challenges. The first one is, of course, the high population. Our colleague was talking about the population importance. Yes, it is very important to have a high population, but you need to know how do you deal with the high population on a so small land. The other challenge is of course, the climate variation, which affect agriculture and the other economic sectors. The fact that agriculture is the only major economic sector in the rural area is also a threat, because when we have shortage of rain, for instance, the rural area is suffering a lot because they don't have a spare sector. We have land degradation caused by overcultivation and also poor land management in some areas. And we also have a vulnerable subsistence farming. But as you will see in the coming slides, the government has, of course, organized a lot of strategies to deal with these challenges. The so-called COVID-19, of course, comes in to worsen the situation. Now, let's move to the positive things. Given all those challenges, the government of Rwanda, supported by donors, has, of course, think of how to deal with the situation. And I'm going to summarize for you some areas which can give hope and areas which have already shown a lot of positive impacts. The first one is the general education promotion. So this is the backbone of the general sustainable development. If we observe what happened in other countries, education has resulted into a voluntary family planning to regulate the population growth rate in Rwanda. There's also land use consolidation practices. There's climate variation adaptation measures. Other economic sectors are also growing, as pointed out by Professor Buchagu. There's land rehabilitation and protection measures. There's biodiversity conservation practices, support to early childhood nutrition is also happening. If you look at the policy framework and programs, you can see that PSTF4 goal of shifting from the poor subsistence farming to professional farming is actually no longer a dream. It is going to happen. Innovations are also emerging. For instance, the Rwanda Institute for Conservation Agriculture, RICA, is going to make a difference because it is training people in a different way we are doing it. I forgot to introduce myself, but I can do it anytime. I'm also a professor from the University of Rwanda. The government, donors, and investors, I'm at slide 11, yes. Investors in Rwanda are currently promoting a number of approaches which may be summarized like this. The first one is the soil and water conservation. I'm not going through details. The second one is the crop production. The third one is, of course, animal production. And the other one is the environmental protection. I can say something about it. Waste recycling and the use of renewable energy materials is actually being promoted. Converting household wastes to biomass fuel briquettes is also happening. Composting to produce organic fertilizer. Early warning systems are also being promoted in Rwanda. Every day there is a show on the TV, radio, explaining what is going to happen in terms of rain. Improved yield and food storage methods are also being practiced by RAB. Growing crops with high nutritional value is also being promoted. Maize varieties, cassava, orange, and sweet potatoes are being developed mainly for very high value seeds. Increased irrigated land, of course, is also a reality, mainly in the eastern savanna. Conservation agriculture which is supported by Howard Buffett Foundation and also American Society of Landscape Architecture. Climate smart agriculture is also being promoted by the Ministry of Agriculture and RAB, supported by USAID and the UKID. There's a focus on soil and water conservation, farmer capacity development, use of climate and weather information, and also expanded irrigation, as I have pointed out. Organic agriculture with certification, of course, for high value export crops, coffee and tea, but also essential oils, plants. For domestically consumed fruits and vegetables, targeting mainly urban market, but also external market. And the Rwanda Organic Agriculture Movement, which is also contributing to organize this webinar. I hope someone from that organization will say something. If you look at the national policies, strategies, and framework, including the Rwanda Vision 2050 and the associated National Strategy for Transformation, and NST1. This include, of course, attaining upper middle income countries started in a very short time, 2035. So you can see the ambitions. The NST1 includes specific targets for the period until 2024, with a focus on poverty reduction and shared prosperity. And I think this is not a dream, it is happening. Now, specific policies for agricultural transformation include the National Agriculture Policy and the associated PSTA4, as already mentioned. And those policies are focusing on 4 broad pillars. The first one, enabling environment and responsive institutions. I think RAB should be multiplied by 10 times to be able to implement the ambitious policies of the ministry. Number 2, technological upgrading and skills development. Productivity and sustainability, and the last one, inclusive markets and of farm opportunities. You heard about AGRA support, and you know that AGRA is supporting the technological management practices through a number of programs and projects, including the development of input markets, access to finance, and so on. Now, measures to deal with degradation, biodiversity, and soil decline. Of course, we have talked about dealing with soil erosion mainly, but also the PSTA4 highlights agroforestry. You know what it is. It's an association of crop production and also trees to actually take care of the soil and mainly, specifically, increase the nitrogen fixation without using fertilizers. The livestock master plan gives priority to climate change mitigation measures to promote low greenhouse emission livestock, which include chicken and pork. The PSTA4 is also emphasizing on agricultural research, which shall actually focus on soil health and fertility, pest and disease management, including integrated pest management development. The National Environment and Climate Change Policy includes the following objectives. 1, the agri-food system for climate change adaptation and also pollution prevention. Ensuring the biosafety and explicit the commitment to developing a circular economy and green technology. We are at slide number 19. So I'm going to give you a list of research work produced by RAB researchers and UR researchers in the area of soil fertility management, mainly in soil acidity management. And there is a very recent one, the agri-food system that work for people and planet, challenges and opportunities from Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. And of course, the Rwanda team was included, Arab scientists, but scientists from all these countries have contributed to it. And I think you will enjoy reading it because it is a very informative research work.
Professor, for the sake of time, if you go through the other slide, then we give these references to the audience later. That would help to manage time, if it is okay for you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your advice. That is your role to play. I would like to go through some conclusions and then stop it here to allow comments. So it is very clear that the government of Rwanda, through RAB, Minagri, and other ministries, has a clear policy strategy. So all we need is that scientists, private sector, NGOs, and others to actually use those policies to implement them, because they are very well done and they are adapted to the situation. Adaptive research must take place. So all these fundamental research, in order to facilitate actually the extension, they have to go through adaptive research. You know what it means? I can jump to the last conclusion slide. So most of those opportunities should involve different categories of stakeholders, including, of course, women and youth, as they have highlighted before. Adapted practices should, of course, be tried, tested in specific agroecological zone. RAB, UR, ROAM, SALI, and others should develop a collaboration framework. And that framework shall actually follow the models of agriculture development demonstrated in other countries. I'm not going to spend time on this impact of COVID because it has been already highlighted. And I just go to the last slide, which says, thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor. Then the floor is to the moderator and discussant, Dr. Ale Ndori. Ale Ndori, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alexandre, and thanks very much, Professor Narama, for the great presentation. Actually, I was keenly following up, and I realized also on slide 11, we are classifying among the enabling environments the use of inorganic fertilizers, which are quite great, but especially for sustainability. What I want just to add on this is that, they look very great in our policies, but on ground, we still have quite a lot to do. And we see this political will in many of the ways. I could cite back some of the words that came from our His Excellence Paul Kagame, who said that as we look forward to the development, we are not making decision between environment and prosperity, because they fuel each other. But again, now that we have a good platform here, maybe some of the comments will be coming on how we are tackling the intensification versus the sustainability. And where do we have more strength as a country, and where should we set safeguards so that this sustainability is taken into account? We have been seeing the COVID disruptions in inputs distribution in the country. In organic fertilizers, price went very high, but at least they were still available on the markets. But inorganic fertilizers, no one talks about them, especially on their value chains and how they can be physically developed. So just wanting to give this as an addition, ROAM and the other consortium, partners here should really be reflecting. Our country really needs intensification, but that needs a bit, or not even a bit, but a high component of sustainability. And as colleagues here, both research, academics, and extensionists, we really need to push this forward. That was my 2-cent contribution I want to add. Thank you, moderator, and thanks, Prof.
Then you can also, see if there are a few questions from the audience. Otherwise, we will be ready to move to the next presentation.
I guess there is a question in the chat box.
Yeah, I will say it myself. I think that we need to also start thinking about world crisis, because some of the things, like there is currently a major logistic crisis worldwide, and it must affect especially the export of Rwanda, and also the crisis in as an East African country. The crisis in Ethiopia is by no means not important or not, it's important to think about it, and I leave it. I don't expect answers to this, but I leave it here.
Oh,
hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
I also want to make a contribution on the presentation of Professor Naramabuye. To echo also the points highlighted by the discussant, Dr. Andori, I think given all the policies, the good policies we have as a country, and also looking at the from a realistic point of view of the COVID-19, of the C-19 disruptions, when you take it from our context, for example, the African context, I think there is a need that we improve the financing of agriculture products, because agriculture, given we all agree that it has been some bit of a neglected, well, the word neglect could not be probably the most right word, but I think somehow underlooked. If we could mute the people that are talking from the background, maybe. Alexander.
Yeah, let me try to see where the problem is.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess it's solved.
Okay.
Okay. We look at issues to do with financing in the financing and access to finance in the agriculture sector, particularly agri-enterprises. We also need to look at issues and advocate for issues to do with increasing the base for agro processing in order to increase the value for agriculture products. Something also that needs to be probably to continue to be advocated for, and new technologies improved, and see innovations around post-harvest handling and post-harvest handling, and also things to do with, yes, I already mentioned post-harvest handling, and then tie it to agro-processing, and then tie it to marketing. There are still issues, I think, as a consortium that is gathered here. We need to look at how to do the advocacy. I think that is the best we can do, and also bring around innovations. Lastly, we have seen the calamity of the C-19, but there is another calamity of the climate change that is also in the know, which is being discussed, which is evident as we stand today, that also needs, for example, if we come back to our country, the DDG RAB elaborated very well something to do with agriculture mechanization, but I think things to do with new irrigation technologies need to be scaled up and tie it to renewable energy.
Madam CEO, sir, if you can try to keep your intervention within time, that would be lovely.
Okay, that's my last point. Thank you.
Okay. So if there is no any other point from the audience.
Hello, moderator, just 1 minute. I know time is not on our side, but just to highlight the few issues that were mentioned by the presenter and the other speakers. I think it's important that we link the ongoing process with the research. And I salute the initiative by Sally and the other initiative that should also be on board and try to contribute in terms of innovation, but also initiating research projects on very key issues that highlighted in the ongoing process. Second is the role of youth. So I noting with satisfaction that we have youth groups that are joining agricultural sector, but we need more, especially these young university graduates, freshly coming from school with good ideas, with innovation. So how do we make them bring in on board and make sure they play their role in agricultural development? Finally, the issues of financing that was raised by Justin, it is very true that we need to increase the access to finance, especially the private sector. That is going to play a very major role in bringing the agriculture to another level. So we are working on that as a Minagri RAB, and a lot are now available for private sector really to benefit. Thank you very much.
So Alendori, if we don't have any question, then we can move to the next situation, to the next presentation, sorry.
Alex, there are so many people who are unmuted, and it's now becoming an issue. So if we can you mute everybody and then just unmute the people that need to speak?
Okay. Okay. So I was asking Alendori, if there is no any other question, we can move to the next presentation, right?
Right, thank you. But there is a great comment in the box here on on the need really to increase the use of organic fertilizers as well. Maybe Dr. Buchagu is also around here. We have been having all these seminars on green water. Green water, that's the water that actually goes into evapotranspiration and transformed into organic matter. But to hold that much water, you really need enough organic matter, and it's not really given enough due. So maybe as a take home, that could be something maybe you can look at. Over, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much, team. So then without further ado, I can suggest we move to the next presentation, which is on COVID-19 and agricultural enterprises. The team will outline the status of agricultural enterprises with focus on the commercialization of agricultural products. They will also take us through the challenges and opportunities vis-a-vis COVID pandemic. So Professor Ikechi will be the keynote speaker. Dr. Olivier will be the discussant, and Marie-Françoise, the facilitator. Professor Ikechi, are you ready?
Check your background. You have echoes. While speaking, there are echoes.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. From this part of the world, it's just 12 noon now, where I am, here in Nigeria. And I want to give kudos to the previous speakers and the organizers of the meeting.
Can share the screen if you can, otherwise yes, I can help you. Okay. Yeah, share your presentation.
Yeah, so as I'm sharing it now, I was already thanking the organizers of the meeting, especially Dr. Markman, Dr. Alex as well. Has it shared now?
We are still waiting for it to show up.
Yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Okay.
I want to use this opportunity also to thank us for staying back. It's not easy to stay in webinars as long as session runs by. This is an issue that not just Rwanda is looking at it. It's the whole of Africa, the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And,
could you make it a full screen, Professor?
I am no longer controlling it because it's coming up on its own. So I'm just waiting for it to come up. Yeah.
Okay, there we are.
Okay, yeah. So Professor Narambuye's presentation was also on point, and I wanted to follow his line of presentation. I met him last year, even though we didn't have a fruitful talk. Well, my topic is on COVID-19 and the agriculture enterprise. And I have always played roles in the university as a professor, and I've also been a youth mentor and over time as senior advisor in some international networking volunteer organizations. Yes, COVID-19 crisis and its effect on agribusinesses in sub-Saharan Africa. You can see the map and all the diagrams there. So this is no longer news about, how economies of Africa and other nations are trying to cope with this pandemic. And at the beginning of 2020, 135 million people faced acute food insecurity. And we have seen that there, in African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which was proposed by the African Union, trade issues relating to the agriculture sector is also very important. So the demand shocks in key agri markets, you can see that trade and demand shocks in key food and agri markets has also caused drops in export earnings and also increased price volatility for export commodities. Ministers of Agriculture of the AU member states have also highlighted the decline in demand and production from those economically developed countries which are affected by the COVID-19, which is also caused, a global recession with direct repercussions to Africa, including the Rwandan economy. Yeah, we are looking at the threats. Now, the threats with respect to, and shocks on the agriculture exports. About 80% of agriculture exports from Africa are move to 4 regions, either to Western Europe, which is about 45%, and to Southeast Asia, to South Asia and also Southeast Asia and Middle East and North America. However, based on 2015, about 18 averages, those exports are valuable or are valued at some 35 billion US dollars to $40 billion per year. So this could result in severe economic blow. It has resulted, not just resulting, 4 countries like even Rwanda, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, and of which rely on these exports as their primary and secondary source of export earnings. So we can see, link a diagram which connects, the food supply chain. We have seen it, the disruption, like in my country here in West Africa. We have seen a disruption of the food supply chain, like from the place where, Nigeria is a very big country. You can see that over time, the supplies from the northern region has been very significant to the southern region, but there were issues that came up, so it caused the disruption. So this is like an example of a typical diagram which explains how COVID-19, was able to affect that, and also the measures to control the pandemic. Yeah, and we can now see this slide is telling us how the crisis goes, affects production. It affects it, looking at the movement of food and agriculture products across borders. We are severely affected, and and secondly, we also saw that in expertise support, which diminished. And also, we can, it also appeared in increasing the rate of post-harvest losses because of restrictions in movement, at that time. So, and furthermore, the food insecurity issue, which has also increased globally because of the pandemic. And of course, we saw time will not, permit us to start going into detail, but we know these things, and it even played out over time. Now, opportunities for African governments and stakeholders of development. We have seen that the government of African governments have been trying to cope with these issues. That, especially those that were heavily affected, like even in Rwanda. So the government can use this as an opportunity to increase funding in the agriculture sector. And of course, how can we talk about increasing funding when the sector is not, prepared enough to shoulder the capacity and also to, generate whatever revenue or bring about output in food production. So this will go a long way to solve the problem of food insecurity and malnutrition in Africa and beyond. So furthermore, the government can look at this effect as an opportunity to improve on our road networks for easy transportation of the produce. We can see also opportunities for stakeholders. These stakeholders we are talking about, government, their developments, economic growth and development stakeholders. They are the private investors. They are also the non-governmental organizations, and even national diaspora organizations, which are actually trying to muster strength and courage to see how these can be ameliorated or mitigated or handled or tackled. So new technologies such as satellite mapping for best growing soil, compressed energy, air energy storage systems, since energy is a farm's biggest expense, farming robotics for future studies and research. Yeah, there's opportunity for these, and we have also seen that in Rwanda. Solar-powered generators for irrigation, easy ground level investor access to agricultural processes such as beekeeping, that's apiculture, avocado farming, and export commodities. Yeah, continuation is, satellite mapping for best growing soil, compressed energy. Yeah, so drone support for surveillance and early warning for pests and diseases. Also agricultural trading, buying and selling platforms. It's very important. The previous presenter also mentioned about, no, not the previous presenter. Yeah, previous presenter, when he was talking about markets, very important for markets. Then state-of-the-art self-sufficient vertical farm gardens, since the future of agriculture is in the cities. Of course, we know that it's also called urban agriculture. Mega hemp farms, medicinal cannabis applications, design of efficient food scarcity programs, then agribusiness advisory roles and extension services, and also packaging, which also takes us back to marketing. And then COVID-19 crisis and its effects, again, as agriculture as a buffer. Yeah, from a World Bank collaborative project, studies on government of 5 countries in sub-Saharan Africa, you can see Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Malawi, Nigeria, and Uganda were implemented. However, the researches are still being still ongoing, employing several rounds of COVID-19 high-frequency phone surveys, that's HFPS, to monitor the socioeconomic implications of the pandemic. Very important. So agriculture is one of the focus topics included in these surveys, and we can see from the diagram before us, we can see how crop farming is the blue color, while the orange color is livestock production, and the neutral color, which is a bit of purple, light purple, is either crop or livestock. So you can see before the pandemic, after the pandemic, for Ethiopia, Malawi, Nigeria, and Uganda. And we were discussing about this, and we saw that even Rwanda comes in between Malawi and Uganda, though not shown, but you can see from that region, it shows the effects before and after. So it's like, comparing the two. So the discussion went on, and this is the discussion of that diagram, that these changes are products of the next effect of household moving into and out of agriculture. In most cases, entries are larger than exits, with the exception of livestock in Uganda. In general, the share of households that have entered into agriculture since the start of the pandemic is higher than those exiting. That's those living. So for instance, in Malawi, about 9% of households who were not involved in agriculture before the pandemic are doing so now. So compared to about 2% that have stopped. So, and then the discussion, continued. Similarly, the share of Nigerian households who have gone into agriculture is higher than those exiting. This is just, like telling us that this is a strategy for food security that people are embracing more. Like the previous speaker, I really enjoyed what she was saying. I'm talking of the CEO or the boss, Josephine, when she was mentioning about how young people are coming in. It is very true. And, of course, when technology also comes in, the fourth industrial revolution as well, it will paint a very good scientific and technologically driven agriculture for the youths of Africa who have this perception problem in practicing agriculture. So at the subsector level, the share of households that have gone into crop farming appears higher than those that have exited. So about 16% of Ethiopian households that were not involved in crop farming before the pandemic are doing so now, compared to about 3% that are not cultivating crops in the 2020 agricultural season. That is the production season. So we went on. In Nigeria, about 19% of the households who did not own or raise livestock pre-pandemic are doing so now, compared to about 15% that owned or raised livestock last year, but are not doing so after the outbreak. So in Uganda, however, we find more households exiting livestock production than those entering. So, of course, this research is being discussed and being reported even that across countries, that the percentage of households going into livestock production appears higher than those transitioning into crop farming. This can possibly be explained by the seasonal nature of crop production compared to livestock farming. You may be asking yourself, why am I reporting other countries and why am I not talking about Rwanda? Can I tell you that these researches that have been carried out tells us also, from my experience in research, that Africa's, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, these issues are peculiar with every other sub-Saharan African country. Yeah, and I've also lived in SADC region, and I also reckon with even in the for Uganda, which is also around the region in the Eastern African countries, and even in the Comesa region. That also tells. So the diagram before us is actually, explaining or presenting COVID-19 crisis, looking at the enterprise processes in the agriculture sector, and we can see them in and out. And of course, the 4 countries that appeared: Ethiopia, Malawi, Nigeria, and Uganda. So let's look at the discussion. Let's look at how they have transitioned in and out of the sector. Rural-urban analysis. Data showed that in these sub-Saharan African nations, more urban households are moving into agriculture. Sector from rural-urban divide. So about 21% of urban households in Malawi who were not cultivating crops pre-pandemic are doing so now, compared to 9% of their rural counterparts. So similar results are observed in Nigeria and Uganda, where the share of urban dwellers going into crop production during the 2020-2021 agricultural season seem higher than this share transitioning into the other parts. So you can see a diagram also which presents it. And furthermore, the results also discussed that across countries that the data seem to suggest that rural households are exiting livestock production more than they are entering, more pronounced in Uganda. This is probably due to the impact of the pandemic on livestock production activities, such as access to feed, animal health services and markets. So in Nigeria, limited access to feed, about 89% of livestock households, animal health services and drugs, 79%, and limited access to markets were all reported by the respondents. Yeah, also the diagram before us is also, giving it a percentage of households in location with respect to the enterprise processes in the agriculture sector by country, which was studied. And we can see that in urban and the rural results being presented. So let's look at the grave impact. Yeah, the grave impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on agriculture comparing to to other sectors. Remember that it's not just agriculture sector, other sectors, but agriculture sector is the main sector which we have to to reckon with, because it's actually a window of escape for economies to get to navigate the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. While agriculture has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the effect seems less pronounced compared to other sectors. Now, households were asked to in different rounds of the the household food survey analysis, if they actually received income from specific sources, and including agriculture, non-farm family businesses, wage, and remittances from abroad. Also, whether the income from those sources increased, decreased, or stayed the same since the pandemic commenced. So in April, May of last year, about 41% of Ethiopian households who received income from agriculture in the last 12 months reported loss of income from agriculture. And that is also that the agriculture income decreased compared to before the pandemic, while 85 and 63 reported experiencing income loss from non-farm family businesses and remittances from abroad, respectively. Yes, I will also talk about Rwanda, just to mention that Rwanda is a country that has shown a very good example with respect to government intervention, government interest in the concerns of agriculture and even the practitioners of agriculture. Can I say this because of my roles, the diverse roles I play? At the moment, I am the chair of the African Council on Small Businesses and Entrepreneurship, and I'm the International Advisory Board chair. So we are doing a lot, even from the area of African Continental Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we see Rwanda advancing with respect to its economy getting transformed through the agriculture sector. So we are, we keep comparing other sectors to the agriculture sector. You can see that in Malawi, 73% of the households who received income from agriculture in the last 12 months reported loss of income from agriculture in May, June of last year. So, however, during the same period, about 84 and 55% reported loss of income from family business and wage work, respectively. So we observe similar results in Nigeria and Uganda. Yeah, this continues to go on and on. And we can see also the incidence of income loss. The incidence of income loss, we can see that income is very important. Income is very important because it's also an indicator of socioeconomic analysis to know how an economy is growing. Of course, we can look at the income per head, and of course, it's not a new thing to most of the people here. And we can see that the result also has shown that the blue color, which is agricultural income, wage income is the one that is lighter in color. And the orange color is non-farm business income, and the remittance is the yellow one. And let's look at the discussion. Now, the discussion, I had to target safeguarding Africa's agriculture. We need to safeguard Rwanda's agriculture. We need to safeguard the agriculture of the 54 countries of sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Africa is about 60 countries of it. And yes, the 5 countries of that are countries that are not in Sub-Saharan Africa, which is Libya, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria, we are looking at the immediate action could safeguard Africa's food security and speed up this recovery of the agriculture sector. We are talking of how to, these are resilience strategies. How can these economies be brought back? Governments and other industry players are in a unique position to consider measures that could cushion the sector and also speed up recovery with the next normal outcomes. So, and also of course, our analysis have suggested that it will be critical to minimize disruptions to Africa's agriculture and food enterprises. If governments and private sector
Professor, we lost you. So hope he will come back. Maybe, Professor, you can stop the video to maximize your internet connectivity.
With
Oh, he dropped. Hope he will come back.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Let's hope he will come back.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah, luckily I've got his presentation.
Yeah.
Francois, where was he?
Continue. Continue. Next.
We need to mute everybody.
You can stop the the slide before. Next, the
sorry.
next one.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Has it reshared?
This one.
Alexander, can you stop sharing?
I did. Yeah, no, Prof is loading
good.
as well. Yeah, no worries. It's automatic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Like, the demand is very high now. Africa is really very much ready for investment. So we need to really push from every angle. And okay, is it showing now?
Yeah. Please put on a full screen if you can.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I think yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so
you can put it full screen.
Yes, I have done so. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, the key steps to safeguarding the agro enterprises.
Dr. Ikechi, you're muted. You're muted, and the best thing would be if you can unmute yourself, but also close your camera. If you close your camera.
Don't worry. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, so, okay. Key steps, including safeguarding food security, understanding and managing the forces that shape demand. I think I have passed this. I think it should be the next one. Okay, yeah. So we are still talking about the role of government. Government can take action to ensure continuity in the food and agriculture system. There are 4 actions that government can consider to ensure continuity in the agriculture and food enterprise and systems, while also addressing food insecurity. Now, the first is to ensure that robust national level NEF centers are in place with representatives from across relevant ministries and the private sector. Now, NEF center has to do with where commercial activities take place. There are places, where you find hubs, those places where there's always, easy buying and selling, clusters of business. Yeah. So many countries have set up food security or agricultural response units in the face of COVID-19 as centralized strategic and planning hubs. For example, in Kenya, there's already set up a food security war room and is deploying digital tools and data gathering approaches to manage food availability, accessibility, and affordability, as well as providing support to value chain players, which is just food security, as it were. Yeah, now continue. The second one is to create a digital data room to track and forecast food availability, pricing, also accessibility, both during and after the crisis. And of course, this type of data room should go beyond the tracking and forecasting of production based on food stocks and yield forecasts that are currently captured in many ministries of agriculture across Africa. And it could also track trade flows, food pricing at the retail level, and availability at food shops in urban and rural areas. And also preparing to transform those NEF centers where commercial activities take place more than the other areas into standing crisis response units after the crisis. So FCRU. Yeah, even as economies open up, the ongoing threats of pests, climate change, of course, we know those issues that affect agriculture. Of course, government can draw from the lessons of COVID-19 to build longer-term capability to proactively manage and diminish such threats through setting up agile food crisis response units that could proactively monitor and mitigate risks in the food and agro-food value chains, thereby leveraging upon the data room mentioned above. Now, the next slide is now, the next slide is transforming agriculture and food systems is very important to drive transformation in, while the immediate concerns of protecting the health of citizens may be taking precedence during the crisis, also government they needed to keep their roots on the pedal of agricultural transformation and can take these opportunities to strategically rethink their agriculture and food systems. For example, traditional open-air food markets may benefit from structural changes to mitigate the risk of disease transmission. And also countries like Rwanda could also take the opportunity to re-examine the management of their strategic food reserves, their policies on regional trade of agriculture and food, and also mechanisms to reduce the overall risks faced by farmers, such as the value chain financing and crop insurance. I am also a roving ambassador with the State of the African Diaspora University, and we are working with the African Union on how to ensure that some of these issues are really tackled. And roles of agro-allied companies. Agro-based companies along the value chain can act now to ensure business continuity, but also plan ahead to reimagine for the long term. Private sector actors also along the agricultural value chain can work with government and take steps now to ensure business continuity. While specific activities will vary by type of player, several common themes emerge in terms of resolving immediate needs. These include securing the supply value chain, protecting the health of employees and value chain partners through sanitizing protocols and physical distance measures, and also setting up of cash management war room to manage cash flow closely with upstream and downstream value chain partners. And then, continuing with the role of the agro-allied companies looking at business models. Beyond immediate measures, agro companies can start thinking about the medium to long-term actions in navigating through the COVID-19 crisis. There is need to further consider what changes they will need to make to their business models as a result of the impact of crisis. So 4 actions that agro-allied companies, as I conclude, So to manage localized supply chain bottlenecks that are likely to persist for longer seasons, to prepare for demand depression, particularly for export commodities and for food products among the low-income urban population and hospital industry or hospitality industry. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay.
So, Professor, if you can also speed up, that would be good because time is on our side.
Yes, I think there's something that just came up and is making it to be difficult to. Okay, don't worry. Let me clear it now. Clearing the drawings. Okay.
Otherwise, I can play the slides for you.
No, I've already cleared it. Embrace digitization right along the value chain. We need to embrace digitization along the value chain. It's very important. And we also need to identify the key players in the food supply chain. There are also some value chains that are very negligible that we need to also identify and also feature prominently. This could, this could see non-agri players such as telecoms or banks pushing it into the agriculture ecosystem space. Existing examples include the Bank of Kigali's Ecofi offering and Safaricom's DigiFarm. Yeah, you can see some of these nice diagrams. My visit to Kigali is almost at hand. And I say it without mincing words. Now, the final business model is saying that exploring new matches and acquisitions, monitoring and mergers and acquisitions, and diversification, including going beyond borders. So the crisis could lead to mergers and acquisition among processors and traders as smaller or medium-sized players seek to invest themselves to their assets and other seek to diversify risks across value chains, countries and customers. Yeah, conclusive remarks. As highlighted from research, COVID-19 crisis has impacted negatively on agribusiness or agricultural enterprises in many ways, like even in market and farm prices, supply chain slowdowns and shortages, causing disruption, farmers' health, the farm workforce, worker safety and personal protective equipment, and then other disruptions. However, importantly, key steps to safeguarding agribusinesses and enterprises have also been outlined. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Lovely, lovely. So Dr. Kamana and Francoise, you can take us through the session of question and the answers.
Thank you, DCO. But before, I would like to convey Dr. Olivier if he has something to add, so we can proceed after that to the questions.
And you have echoes, you may need to mute one of your devices if you have two already active now. If you have your phone, a laptop on Zoom, mute one of them. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Francoise. For me, everything seems clear. I don't have anything more to add, so I can give over to you the floor, so you can go through the round of questions. Thank you.
Francoise, you are mute. Your mic is muted.
Francoise, please unmute your microphone.
Okay, so in the meantime, Professor Ikechi, there is a question to you in the chat box. Can you see it? As we wait for, yeah, so there is a participant who asked, yeah, can you see it now?
Yeah, is it from Vestin? Thank you, Dr. Ikechi.
Exactly, yeah, from Vestin, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
do you think this high engagement into agriculture by many farmers in those countries after COVID break will be sustainable? Do you think this high engagement into agriculture by many farmers in those countries after COVID break? Of course, it could be sustainable. Remember, that's why we are talking about a system. Sometimes persons who are leaving Africa to the Western countries, they believe that they will enjoy the infrastructural amenities. What they are saying is that they are moving out to enjoy a system that has already been built up over time. So, and that's why we keep talking about the food value chain. Build up the food value system. If the system is built up in such a way, of course, from production to distribution, from production to processing, depending on the type of group, if it's horticulture crop, if it is arable crop, if it is permanent crops, all of those, and also coming back to the livestock, because of course we have the crops, livestock, forestry, and fisheries, and those are all part of the agriculture sector. So if those the institutions that will play their roles, from production to the end user, the institutions that play their roles, yeah, of course, I'm sure you understand them. Like, for example, when you look at like a channel of distribution of a particular commodity, of course, you can also link it to, if processing is involved, of course, value addition comes in. So that also takes us to value chain. And if these items have been properly identified and their roles described, of course, the technology also comes in. Remember, I was speaking the other time and I was saying that in this era of the advent of technology and the fourth industrial revolution, which makes the whole, which changes the narrative And of course, that tells us that this is a game changer. It's no longer business as usual. So it's now changing the face of things. We can even see that in developed, economies. We can see them advancing, bringing in their aids and all of that. And I'm sure even Dr. Offa may want to speak in this regard, or to say one or two things and say, okay, this tells us that if a system is created, that brings sustainability. And of course, that also tells us about food security. What is food security? When the 4 pillars, the last pillar talks about sustainability. If food is available, can it be assessed? If food can be assessed, how can it be utilized? And that takes us to utilization, the 3rd pillar. And if it can be utilized, can it be available? Can it take, stability, sustainability, sufficiency? If you allow me, I will keep talking. So I have to stop here.
Okay, thank you very much. So
There is
Olivier,
another
come
question,
on.
Prof.
Okay, yes, Francois.
Yeah, there is another question in the chat. They are asking, they want to know the synergy between microfinance through the insurance programs with smallholder farmers. How do you see that?
Yeah, it's very important because, of course, we know that our farmers, it's no longer news that African farmers are majorly smallholder farmers, about 70%, if not more. But research has told us over time that between 60 and 70% of farmers of Africa countries are smallholder. And we know that women and youths are very important in playing, roles in driving transformation within the space of the agriculture. And now we are talking of agribusiness, because agribusiness is very important, business side of agriculture, so that we will also enjoy the margins that those that add value to their food commodities happen, to food items add up. So and now we are talking about the microfinance institutions or microcredit institutions. Of course, they are there. They should be able to, and we know that the issue of data is also a challenge. We need to also structure out way of having data of our smallholder farmers, so that every intervention that we develop can also be, they can receive those interventions so that they can, it can properly channel to them.
Okay. So, Dr. Francois, I think we can touch the end of this session if there is no any other intervention, so that we can catch up with time.
I would like to ask Professor if he can highlight something on the livestock side, but he has been talking about challenges in the agriculture enterprises. When we are talking about agriculture, mainly we are considering both crop and livestock. But if it can help the audience to have an idea on
Is there a network problem?
Sorry about that. How was the effect of the COVID-19? Really, what was the potential?
Yeah, can you repeat your question? I think there was a network problem at some point.
Okay. I was saying if you can highlight also on the livestock side, when we are talking about agriculture enterprises, mainly we are considering both crop and livestock. But I've seen that in the presentation, we are missing a part for livestock. If you can just highlight some effect of COVID-19 on the livestock side, and how it's really give a negative impact on the human health.
Yeah, I think, well, thank you for pointing that out, but it's still the same principle. It's just that, of course, the prices went up high. Like, for example, in my country, the price of animal protein, that is cattle, beef, beef especially, it became very expensive because of the supply from where where the cattle rearers are and all of that. So, and the prices kept on going high, and but the recommendation is where the whole interest should be. And of course, the recommendation touches not just on the crops. You can even see it from my slides that I was recommending with respect to when you carry out a SWOT analysis, you see the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the strengths. And I like trying to manage the supply of for example, is it for the ruminant side, the ruminant animals, or monogastric animals, of course, the cattle, the goats, which they are from the the ruminant side. And we are even encouraging for more organic livestock production now with respect to trying to enhance nutrition, the nutritive value of food. And of course, in my country, you see that there's so much that is going on now with encouraging persons to go for livestock that we are fed with organics than just the processed feeds and all of that. So they would be fed with green and all of that. So and it's like it called for us to look more into organics. Those were the implications, and that is a positive implication on that the COVID-19 pandemic caused, because you just go out there and you see that there are crops, even there are plants, green, that can be mixed with these. And so we need to explore opportunities. And of course, with respect to the media, we also saw that the media was open to farmers to share their experiences and share knowledge about how to mitigate and also tackle the issue of food insecurity, which coming from the livestock side. And of course,
very
good,
poultry. Very good. Thank you, Professor. Yeah, thank you, Professor. So now I think we shall share the contact of Professor Ikechi. He has plenty of knowledge on African agriculture and worldwide in general, so that questions that are not addressed now, he can answer them one-on-one from any participants in this meeting. So allow me to orient this meeting toward the end. We're trying to use the remaining minutes for the summing up. Dr. Florence, are you ready for the summing up session?
Yes, Alexander. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Lovely. Okay.
Yes, I mean, it was a very good opportunity to discuss around the agricultural sector and to see what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and what are the resilient strategies that can help us to cope with this pandemic and the challenges that it will leave out in the sector. From the first presentation on agricultural Agritech and sustainable food production systems, we've seen how agricultural technologies can not only optimize the agricultural outputs, but also can be one of the key areas to tackle the impact of COVID-19. And we've seen some of the challenges, of course, caused by COVID-19, such as lockdowns, travel restrictions, and among others. And this this was not a problem of Rwanda, it's a global problem. So it affected the area, agricultural areas among other areas of development. So how can what are the opportunities that are there, maybe that can be help to overcome the challenges caused by COVID-19. We've seen that they are among others in the Agritech area. We saw that we can improve technology in pest control, use sensor-based farming systems, storage facilities, among others. And also, it was highlighted that there is a need to invest in agri-food startup sector. And yeah, looking at the other opportunities that are there, we saw that there is a need to focus on food safety and security, to the direct production to more local value chains, to accelerate the development of digital solutions, and to favor mechanizations through digital services, among others. And there was also a need to increase funding to the agricultural sector, and also exploit the use of stakeholders. For example, in the case of there are some alternatives or opportunities that are there, maybe that can be grabbed and used for the development of agricultural sector, such as solar powered systems, among others. There is also a need to push for more investments in agriculture, and also to grab the government actions that are already there to be able to lift up the agricultural sector. There is also a need to transform agriculture and food systems, and also enhance or promote agri-based companies. Those are key strategies that have been raised in this meeting, and of course, we put as a way forward to this meeting, to this webinar. There is a plan to develop a strategy support working paper that will be produced from this webinar, and this will be shared to, of course, to all participants and also relevant institutions or stakeholders to be able to implement the key resolutions from the webinar. I guess Alexander is there. If there is something that I missed out, before I leave the floor to you, there was 2 questions raised by Professor Buchagu from lab that we didn't have enough time to give time to. He said that to be able to track, for the Agritech, there is a need to promote IT tools in agricultural sector. And this can only be done through the review of education program. And he was asking Professor Paul Dufay, what, with their experience, how this can be implemented. That was one. And another one was how smallholder farmers may be more engaged through these transitions to a more, the transitions where the Agritech, IT tools are being engaged, are being attracted in agricultural sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Director Florence. All said and well said. We have just learned a lot, specifically from the presentation by Professor Ikechi. Those practical, pragmatic research findings from Africa on the dynamics of farmers who shifted from rural and urban areas regarding farming for crops and livestock. Those are some information, empirical data we still need to collect as far as Rwanda is concerned, and that has been recorded, and it will clearly appear in the strategy working paper. So allow me to now suggest that we move to the end of this meeting by thanking all the keynote speakers, panelists, and specifically the organizers. This was a wonderful meeting. Of course, apologies, it has been quite difficult to keep our time within the plan. So, but this is our event. I think all went good. Thank you, University of Rwanda College of Agriculture. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Haifa Hub. Thank you, RAB, Kavara International University, Rwanda Climate Change and Development Network, Vicaton, Medischool, NutriCare, and the Rwanda Organic Movement. So this has proved that such meetings are very possible. We shall try to make them on a regular basis so that we can exchange and deliberate and learn from one another regarding the updates in this vital sector of life, which is agriculture. So without further ado, we can call this a day. Thank you very much, and see you in the near future. Bye-bye.
Thank you
So
so much, Alexander.
before we say bye-bye, can you play videos if you can, so that we can take a video or a photo?
Yes, please, everybody.
Okay, let me see if I can take one. Dr. Markman, can you take one?
I can try. Well,
Yeah, try to take a photo of the event. Yes.
Yes, I can do.
As many persons who can take can take, because I'm sure it would be nice to appear on social media platforms as well.
More video.
Yeah. So whoever can, please play your video so that we can take the event. Yeah, photo. And Dr. Markman will popularize it around the world.
I'm trying.
Oh, we cannot see your face, your actual face on one of your devices. Can you put someone on? Yeah.
You are right, Prof.
Can somebody help me with technically how to take the? Well, if worse come to worse, we can always do that. I just want to make sure that this is going as well. I'll ask you for some minutes. Alrighty. This as well. This one, and I'll print screen as well. Control print screen. No, it's not working. Print screen doesn't work for me.
Oh.
No. Print screen. Control print screen. No, print screen does not work for me, unfortunately. Just one more.
So it's okay. I have tried to take some, and they look fantastic. Let us catch up later. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, have a good afternoon.
So much hard work.
Bye. Professor Narambuye, we'll talk later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very, very
Yes, Ikeche, it was
How
nice
are
to
you?
hear from you.
Yeah. One of your staff came to Nigeria the other time from University of Rwanda, Pascal. He came around.
I will come.
Yeah, it should be nice.
Sure.
Have a good afternoon.
So much hard work.
Professor Narambuye.
Yes.
Bye, Dr. Markman.
Yes, would we?
Dr. Francois.
Are we gonna have it on YouTube? Everything?
Okay. Beautiful.
Alex, are we gonna have it on YouTube? Is everything gonna be recorded on YouTube?
Yeah, it's already recorded. It's already on YouTube.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah, recorded.
It's already on YouTube. Yes.
So, okay, then this is the last goodbye. See you later. I'm
Bye
going to end the
bye.
meeting.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.